EdTech Mondays Kenya is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with EdTech East Africa.
Good evening and karibuni to EdTech Mondays. I'm your moderator, Lily Bukala Piper, and we are so pleased that you've joined us today. As technology, and specifically artificial intelligence, or AI, begins to weave into our days more and more, it's critical that we examine its role in the delivery and experience of education. The current state of AI and foundational education in Kenya reflects a dynamic landscape marked by innovation, collaboration, and evolving strategies to address the diverse needs of learners across the country. At the governmental level, the National Exam Council in Kenya has begun exploring the use of AI in the development and administration of national exams. Simultaneously, researchers and EdTech organizations are spearheading innovative projects aimed at integrating AI into classrooms around the country. From tech academies like Tech Kids Africa that are teaching learners robotics, animation, coding, and so on, to the development of AI tools like Somanasi that act like real-time tutors for students, to organizations like Nyansapo AI, who support and scale literacy and numeracy interventions by leveraging AI, Kenya's EdTech space is revolutionizing the way that students engage with educational content and interact with their teachers. Alongside the promising developments in the use of AI in education, there are also some notable concerns around safety, data privacy, adequate teacher training, and the exacerbation of existing inequities. The potential to use AI to address long-standing challenges and the forward movement already happening on the ground make this an important moment in Kenya's educational landscape. As we have this discussion today, we invite you to join the conversation. You can join us on X at EdTechEAfrica and on SMS by texting your feedback to 20686 using the hashtag EdTechMondays. To help us navigate this complex topic, we are very pleased to have three experts in the sector join us today. First, we'll hear from Michael Murungi, the Government Affairs and Public Policy Lead for Eastern Africa at Google, who will define AI for us and give us a sense of the current context on the ground here in Kenya of the use of AI in education. Let's start with some context framing questions. The big question, of course, is what is AI? Give us a working definition.
Artificial intelligence is a new technology that mimics human processes of intelligence and problem solving to manage and perform complex tasks and to learn at the same time.
So from your point of view, what are some of the opportunities that we have with the adaptation of AI in education and particularly the AI for teaching and learning?
I think the biggest opportunity in education in particular is the ability to personalize learning. The ability for the teacher to be able to curate the learning experience for the child based on the child's needs and to be able to actually predict down the line what this child might need in terms of support and to tailor education and interventions that are relevant to that child.
Flip side of that coin might be for some educators, practitioners, parents, is that there's still some risks around AI that people who are connected to education are rightfully concerned about.
Right.
So could you tell us, are there some policies in place that ensure that young people are going to be safe when they're using these really exciting new tools?
We have an office established called the Office of the Data Protection Controller that has been issuing guidelines on, beyond the law, the various sectors and the various areas of practice, whether it is in schools or hospitals. How do you make sure that the privacy of patients and children is protected? So we have that. That's the baseline.
What can I do at home to make sure that that safety is there for my kids as they start to engage with AI more and more?
In terms of tools, I'll just give one from Google that we find very useful as parents. It's called Family Link. So Family Link is a technology that we've developed at Google for families. What it does is that it pairs the parents, and this is mostly for parents who give devices to children, whether it's a laptop or a mobile phone. It pairs the parent's device with the child's device. And from the parent's device, you're actually able to know what the location of your child is based on the device that they're having. And then you're able to set routines for bedtime, for play, meaning that you can determine at what times the child's device will be active. Definitely this needs an internet connection for both devices. And then to be able to set the kind of content the child would access.
Thank you, Michael. It really helps us to understand the realities here in Kenya. In addition, we are very pleased to have two studio guests with us today who are practitioners in the use of AI in education. Mumbe and Akwabi, we are so pleased to have you here to help us make sense of all the possibilities that AI presents to our learners and our teachers. Before we hear from Mumbe and Akwabi, let's hear from some learners and some teachers that we talked to just last week about how they are experiencing AI in their classrooms.
Technology, not just AI or machine learning, finds its place in the teaching, learning, and assessment in my classroom, whether I'm teaching mathematics, computer science, or even science. And so my pedagogical approach of STEAM education includes getting students to think about challenges that they know of the world, like the experience in the real world, and then bringing the content that I'm teaching them in context so they can actually develop solutions for such challenges.
I could think of a couple of ways to use artificial intelligence in a fun way to sort of help out with my education. I mean, for example, there are games, right? If you can incorporate AI learning in education in terms of like incorporate games that, something that all of us children currently that is so much into our system and into so much of our generation is gaming. And if there was a way we could incorporate gaming in sort of AI learning, that would be super.
I feel like with the rise of stuff with like ChatGPT, instead of people maybe using it in terms of just helping them with work, they use it to complete their whole entire work, which does not help them with maybe like learning how to write their own essays or assignments, or doing the time to actually research the topic they're learning about.
If I had a magic computer, what I would want to learn first is AI and robotics, because robotics is much fun other than the subjects, the subjects that we know like maths, English, Kiswahili and such. AI and robotics is fun, like brainstorming using ChatGPT, not just being in class. Sometimes you might not even know the answer, but when you use your phone, it will be much fun.
At the center of any technology in education is the biggest risk, and that is safeguarding. Safeguarding whether it is on privacy or even exposure and also data collection. And AI platforms need to be, looked into deeply so that they do not, expose our learners and our young people in the world where, misuse of information and data.
To all the viewers and especially the children who are going to be watching this, there's nothing that can limit your potential. If you see an opportunity, grab it.
Mumbe and Akwabi, we're so pleased to have you here. Please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a bit about what your organizations do.
My name is Mumbe, CEO and co-founder at Nyansapo AI. At Nyansapo AI, we provide AI-powered tools and resources to teach to the foundational literacy and numeracy competencies and needs of children. At the moment, we are working with partners such as USAID and YALI to support 5,000 children in Mount Elgon to be in school and to do basic math and basic English.
My name is Akwabi Paul. I'm a founder and head of partnership and business development at Tech Kids Africa. And actually, Tech Kids Africa is a technology academy for children, teenagers, and youths, whereby we customize content on robotics, coding, AI, machine learning, online safety, and cybersecurity.
So I'd love to hear from both of you to just think, and if you could give us examples, how are AI technologies being used to improve education currently in Kenya? Maybe Mumbe, you could speak to, for our teachers, how is AI improving their delivery of education?
I need to start by stating that AI is a tool but not exactly a replacement to the amazing work which teachers do. And specifically with the realm which we do around foundational literacy and numeracy, is that we already know that the children are going to school, but they're not able to read a simple story or do basic math. So in that kind of context, what exactly can a teacher do? So there have been a lot of efforts from organizations such as us to support this delivery of foundational literacy and numeracy within the classroom. One key example will be using AI in assessments. In many cases, you find like a teacher in public primary schools in Kenya has probably 50 children in the classroom, and the teacher needs to know if a specific child can be able to read a story and understand the questions they are asked. So having AI-powered assessments can enable the teacher to have enough data points to be able to inform targeted lesson delivery, not only for the groups within the classroom, but also individual learning needs of children or within the grades.
Akwabi, how about for our students? How is AI being used to improve their experience of education?
I think there is something which has not been quantified mostly when we talk about school dropout. And this excitement that AI is bringing in classroom. Right now, we have school dropouts out here who are not having jobs simply because they didn't find classroom very exciting then when they were growing up. And these are doctors, lawyers that could have been, but they are not now. But AI is coming now to reduce that particular gap. And when now we are taking AI to classrooms, it will be more exciting. It is already exciting even right now to learners. You get that it even improves their critical thinking. Learners are able right now to design even the future they want, the world they want.
So maybe, Mumbe, we'll go back to you just to help us think about how can AI-powered personalized learning platforms, enhance student engagement and keep them interested?
So using AI-powered tools is that the teacher can easily be able, now leveraging on what I mentioned earlier on assessments, can be able to come to the class and be able to know like which particular children are probably right now struggling with even simple concepts as number recognition and probably areas such as place values, which are critical in informing that particular knowledge around addition. And in that scenario, the teacher is able to group the children according to the specific elements identified. When all of this is done in a proper way also, because technology is as good as how exactly is being implemented, especially in education, is that now the child can have personalized learning depending on where exactly they are. And at the end of the day, with all these particular elements being implemented depending on the previous knowledge which the child is that they can be able to catch up later and be able to do basic addition.
So just to even bring that even clearer, 2 years ago, if a teacher was in a similar position and did not have AI tools to help accelerate, that grouping of students by their ability, what would they have done? What would the strategy have been before AI?
So I will go for saying that the process will have been super tedious, because as a teacher, a child is writing on their exercise book. So you have to go through the class trying to identify like what exactly is the problem.
So I think an important consideration for us is how are these partnerships between government institutions, education institutions, private sector stakeholders, how are these partnerships going to allow us to scale the use of AI technology in classrooms?
Technology itself is so dynamic, it's changing day in, day out. And the government cannot be able to play all their roles. And that's why we are there, like now the EdTech entrepreneurs, EdTech innovators, and also other organizations globally, especially like Google, DeepMind that we have partnered with. You see, Google is among organizations that are leading how innovation is being transformed across the world. So if they don't come back and look how they're integrating or engaging the class, we'll be having a huge gap between the academia and the industry.
How is AI helping us to achieve equity and inclusivity in the classroom?
So through the work we are doing at Nyansapo AI is that we have built an affordable tool, which is an assessment tool, which can be used by teachers within the classroom, where they can be able to learn about these learning gaps which exist in their classrooms, and also at the same time look at the learning content and materials which is available within the classroom.
First of all, AI enables learning to be more visual. That one, first of all, creates a flat ground between the normal people and the deaf. All of them can see, and they're able to see what is actually happening. And also the autistic kids, who mostly have not, actually even teachers are still trying to learn how to handle them. Autistic kids learn much faster when it comes to visuals than when it comes to just you talking and instructing them on what to do. So you get that AI and actually generally technology is trying to reduce that gap as much as possible. And again, it makes resources even more affordable than books.
Perhaps both of you can just touch on in brief, what do you think that the primary challenges are to the widespread use of AI? I might use ChatGPT to write some questions for this interview, but then if we think about it at a scaled level to the countrywide, what are some challenges that are rising to the surface?
I think I can go by stating that the growth of technology has outpaced policy development in the country. So we have a lot of EdTech companies such as Nyansapo doing a lot of work in the country to support education, but there are no policy frameworks supporting this. And then also there's a lot which is unknown. Like to what extent are we able to say, let's say, large language models are working in the continent, and also for us as Kenyans? And the other thing I would want to point out, what I said earlier, is that AI is a tool. So we need to have concrete data, like for what tech kids are doing in the country, to ensure that the teachers are retooled on how best to use AI.
Very important points that you've raised. Akwabi, would you agree? What would you add to that?
Actually, I do agree with her a lot. And first of all, what we need to understand is AI is data driven. Even for it to be useful to us, it needs to learn what we want it to do to us. So first of all, on the challenges, I'll start by saying the challenges that are there even for AI to be able to serve us right, the African market, the Kenyan market right, for it to be able to answer you in Kikuyu, Kikamba, or other languages. The limit is us. It needs to learn because it's data driven if we're able to feed it. That is on the other side of AI as a challenge. The challenge now on this, the side of now consumers now, as the users, is we still have a lot of misconception of what AI is, how it's going, the changes it's going to bring. And you get that the message actually out here is supposed to reach as many people as possible. Apparently from the towns, main towns like Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu, mostly you get that we are having exposed teachers, learners, and it's a bit better, but it's a very small fraction to be able to drive also this particular agenda. They need to know and understand that technology is not going to replace them. The technology, actually, the people who know how to use technology, how to integrate AI in their work, are going to replace or take advantage of the people who are ignorant about technology and AI. Yeah.
So perhaps you can continue, Akwabi, and just respond to this idea of how do we ensure that teachers and educators really are fully prepared for this integration of AI into their classrooms?
Like, for example, the experience AI content that is there, this is free. We're having a total of around 300,000 teachers across the country.
Wow, already using it.
Not using it. Actually, right now we are reaching out to around 500 as a pilot, 500 teachers. But this is a free content. The 500, we're just trying to make awareness to them so that they're able to pass this to more other teachers and impact around 100,000 learners and more. But now, with 320,000 teachers that we're having in the country, they're able to take advantage of this platform and be able to learn for free. But now, we need to have as many also stakeholders as possible, apart from just the government, to be able to enable these teachers to access such content through either the accessibility to the internet and also others. We just learned that still we're having a huge population still using the feature phones that are not able to access the internet. And I think we can never be ready when it comes to technology. Let's always just agree that, and let's always play the catch-up game. At some point, we'll always realize the changes and the impact that actually we are making.
Well, I love what you said, because it also makes me think that students are also our teachers, and we have a duty also to them, to listen to them, to follow their lead as their own curiosity is inspiring new opportunities, which is really exciting. You wanted to jump in as well?
Yes, I wanted to jump in and also say that, yes, we are making progress, but I believe a lot needs to be done. Let's not forget that we live in a country whereby some schools do not have electricity. Maybe they were given the tablets, but teachers are wary about using the tablets. So there's that initial investment was good from the government to ensure at least we have access to those kind of resources. But if we don't have complementary resources such as access to internet, access to electricity in most parts of the country, because when you look at the Kenyan data, probably around 70% of the population lives in rural areas who do not have access to all of this. So there's much which is needed to ensure that, especially in rural areas where Nyansapo has a big footprint in, to ensure that also teachers in those particular areas are also able to have access to these particular resources which are available.
What would you see as a helpful tool to allow more transparency and accountability around the use of AI tools?
There's great need for online safety and cybersecurity, just digital safeguarding. And this again goes back to educators. Once educators and caregivers are able to be empowered, then the learner is more safer. Or else the curiosity that these learners have is high, very high. And averagely, there's a research that says a 15-year-old kid is more informed on the digital space content than a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old, simply because they have more time to this content and curiosity. But you at your 30s, 40s, you only join the internet or use technology at limited times after work, and you have totally a different focus and goal. So these are the people we are supposed to teach, but again, they're ahead of us when it comes to content. So we need to know that. And by knowing that, we just need to know how are we able to protect them and guide them towards the rightful content as they continue actually learning more content and progress.
But what would you say, particularly in the experience of Nyansapo AI? I'd be curious to hear how you're balancing those ethical questions.
Something I was thinking around ethics will be in terms of gender. In many cases, when we talk about robotics, we are more inclined to say, to have photos of boys playing around with robotics, and you find like girls are not involved. Or else when you want to talk about care giving roles, let's say such as a cleaner, you might find that you are using a lady's name, why not a man's name, and all of that. So right now we are trying to work with educators to ensure that these particular biases are taken into consideration of, and in many systems we are building, especially in having a RAG system, which can ensure that the teachers are able to get like data from a particular source, not like the entire ChatGPT, but also only on the content we have uploaded, to ensure that we are not like perpetuating these biases, which have very adverse effect on how young children and also adults are able to like approach these particular careers and also approach the amazing work you're doing in innovation.
Just something, just a little bit.
We'll start to wrap up. It's so much to talk about.
Sure. Actually, I'm looking into, you see, even how we're being brought up. As a lady, they'll bring you a doll and kitchen things to play with. As a boy, they'll bring to me the cars and all that. So the same way in tech. Now, what happens is, even in our training, we tend to make ladies innovate within the areas that they relate with. So I think if we try to integrate that with just the cultural background of how we are being brought up, then we're going to create a very powerful way of closing the gap, the gender gap actually in between. But I'm in support of closing the gender gap using technology, but still retaining, of course, the cultures, because it's a bit easy for the girls to be able also to relate.
We've come to the end of our time, so before we go, give us a parting remark or statement, something that you wish that your stakeholders understood better about the work that you're doing.
I think my parting shot will be, we all know that children are going to school, but they are not learning. So organizations such as us, Nyansapo, stands at the forefront to ensure that, yes, we are able to ensure that the child is not only able to read, and also do basic math, but also create a culture of reading and imagination. And that's like the overall vision which we are sending to parents and other organizations who are very interested in using AI to improve foundational literacy and numeracy.
My major thing is also to everyone actually out here to let them know that it is our responsibility for things to change. And for Kenya, especially Kenya and Africa, what I am saying is this. It is not our responsibility today for us to be third world countries. We can blame it all to our forefathers. But in the next 10 years, if Kenya and the entire Africa is still a third world country, I think we are the ones to be blamed. So let's do something. Let's innovate or die. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akwabi. Thank you, Mumbe. Thank you, Michael, for being with us today. And thank you, listeners. We're so glad that you joined the conversation, and we would love to have your feedback. You can reach us on X at EdTechEAfrica and also on SMS. You can text your feedback to 20686 using the hashtag EdTechMondays. We send our appreciation to our sign language interpreter, Ms. Rose Omolo, for her excellent support. And we also thank you for joining us. My name is Lily Bakala Piper, and we'll see you next month.
EdTech Mondays Kenya is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with EdTech East Africa.